Ever watch 15 tons of wet, gray sludge turn a century of your family's history into a pile of rubble? Let me paint you a picture because I was standing there at 6:30 in the damn morning when it happened. I'm just holding my coffee, staring at this cement mixer as it crawls across my grandfather's stone bridge, the mortar literally screaming under the weight. It's a sound you don't forget. And then, just like that, bam! A groaning crunch, a massive splash, and the whole thing just vanishes into the creek. And there's the queen of the HOA herself, Marjorie, standing on the bank in a blazer, so white it probably blinds people, just laughing. Not even trying to hide it. Oops, she sneers, looking at me like I'm the one who messed up. Those old rocks weren't built for real trucks, honey. She really thought it was funny. A harmless little accident. What she didn't know, what nobody in that gated community realized, was that I've been baiting the trap for months. Every single weight violation, every hairline crack, every threatening letter, every crooked permit, I had it all in a binder thick enough to kill a man. That bridge wasn't just a pile of stones to me. It was the only way in or out for her entire precious development. And the second she finally forced that truck over it, well, let's just say karma arrived right on schedule. But look, I didn't just stand there watching my legacy sink into the mud. I made damn sure her arrogance would bite her back so hard she'd be tasting for the rest of her life. My name is Roman Kellerman. I'm 52, and I'm a retired civil engineer. I spent my life looking at blueprints and safety ratings, but these days, I've traded the hard hat for the quiet of my grandfather's 12 acres in Pennsylvania. It's a slice of history, including that bridge he finished back in 1923. Every morning, I'd walk out there with my coffee, feeling the cool stone, listening to the creek burbling away, the blackbirds chatting in the cattails. It smelled like dew, old wood, and the sawdust from my workshop in the barn. My grandfather spent 7 years on that bridge. He handpicked every stone, calculated every stress point using a slide rule back when that was cutting-edge technology. But here's the reality. That bridge was built for tractors and hay wagons, maybe 15 tons tops. It wasn't designed for these massive, modern cement mixers that move like tanks. The original blueprints are still in my shop, yellowed and fragile as tissue, smelling like old machine oil. If you want onto my land, you cross that bridge. There's no other way unless you're prepared to wade through a swamp or go through protected wetlands. And then came Hurricane Marjorie. That's what I call her anyway. A blonde bob cut so sharp it could slice a bagel, driving a luxury SUV with vanity plates that basically screamed, "I'm better than you." She moved in 3 years ago, and from day one, she was obsessed with improving property values. Her first gift to me was a violation notice claiming my grandfather's barn was an eyesore and had to be painted beige to match the community aesthetic. I tried to explain, politely at first, that it was a historic structure, but she didn't care. The next morning, she's at my door in a jacket crisp enough to cut glass, smiling like a shark. "Roman, maybe you'd be happier somewhere more." "Rustic," she said, using the word like she was diagnosing me with a contagious disease. See, Millbrook Heights, the neighborhood wrapped around my land, is mostly good people. Retirees who love a story, who buy my custom furniture, who respect history. But Marjorie ran the HOA board like a mob boss. She used legal threats, backroom connections, and enough intimidation to keep everyone quiet. I watched 3 neighbors pack up and leave after receiving daily fines for mailbox height or lawn length. Absolute nonsense. Agnes, the retired librarian next door, whispered to me that Marjorie was trouble. The young couple with twins, Tyler and Beth, told me they were sorry they couldn't help, but they were too terrified to cross her. And that was when it clicked. Marjorie was already showing developers my property, talking about Phase 2, luxury condos where my barn stood, townhouses where my grandfather's apple orchard bloomed. She just needed me gone. Enter Derek, the nephew. He owned the local construction firm, built like a linebacker with the business ethics of a loan shark. The HOA hired his company to build their fancy new clubhouse, and suddenly, my bridge was the shortest route for his fleet. Monday morning, I'm on the bridge with my coffee, and I hear this roar. I look up, and there's a mixer the size of a house rolling over stones that have been sitting there for 100 years. I walked out, apron on, mug in hand. "Excuse me, this is private property, posted weight limits," I said. Derek didn't even look up from his phone. Marjorie cleared it. "Got a problem? Take it up with her." And there she was, standing on the edge of the road, watching my legacy start to splinter under the pressure. That was the moment I stopped being the polite neighbor and started being an engineer again. We don't panic, and we sure as hell don't forget. I started documenting everything. I set up hidden cameras. I kept a daily log. Every day at 7 a.m., like clockwork, those trucks would roll. Every day, I'd see a new crack, a little more mortar crumbling into the creek. One morning, a bookcase I'd spent 3 months building just rattled itself apart because of the vibrations from a passing truck. I could have screamed, I could have thrown something, but instead, I just picked up my camera. I went into the county archives, breathing in enough dust to fill a landfill, and I found the truth. That bridge was for my property's use only. Nobody else had a legal right to touch it. Marjorie's community benefit talk was total garbage. I hand-delivered cease and desist letters to both of them. Professional, ironclad. Derek just tossed us in the mud. Marjorie? She immediately took to the neighborhood Facebook page, painting me as a bitter, selfish recluse blocking community progress. But then, the tide started to turn. Neighbors began coming to me in the shadows. Agnes, Tyler, Beth, they were scared, but they were tired of the bullying. Meanwhile, I was getting creative. I borrowed industrial portable scales. The posted limit was 15 tons. Derek's trucks? 35, sometimes 40. That's nearly 3 times the capacity. I called a friend of mine, a structural engineer named Dr. Wong. She came out, took one look at the fissures, and shook her head. "Roman, this bridge is fine for its purpose, but these trucks will destroy it in 6 weeks, maybe 8. So I doubled down. I upgraded my gear, night vision sensors, motion triggers, the works. Derek got reckless, driving at midnight, scraping my fence, tearing up my yard. Marjorie wasn't backing down, though. She filed a formal complaint with the county, and suddenly I had inspectors on my porch. She stood right behind them, grinning like the cat that got the cream. Inspector Bradley walked around, snapped photos of cracks that only existed because of those trucks, and told me I needed a certified assessment. So I paid Dr. Wong $2,000 for a report that was so detailed it would stand up in federal court. The harassment turned dark. My furniture business started losing orders because of anonymous, malicious phone calls. I had fake pizza deliveries at 3 a.m., insurance adjusters showing up claiming I was violating building codes, and Marjorie was constantly trying to bully the HOA into seizing my land under some obscure eminent domain law for the public good. They even held a meeting, a PowerPoint presentation, of all things, about traffic flow. People were starting to crack under the pressure, ready to side with her just to make the chaos stop. But here's the twist. A local freelance reporter, Sarah, had snuck into the back of that meeting and recorded every word. And when I started cross-referencing Derek's official weigh-in records with my own, I found the gold mine. He'd been reporting 15 tons to the state to avoid taxes, but my scales showed the truth. That's federal fraud. Then came a lawsuit. I got the letter in the mail, red ink, threat of litigation. She claimed that because Derek's trucks had been using the bridge for weeks, he'd established a legal right to it. My lawyer laughed for a full minute, then got dead serious. Lawsuits are expensive, Roman. Even if you win, you lose. I was staring at bankruptcy. My shop was empty, and Marjorie was smelling blood. But while she was busy hiring lawyers, I was back in the county basement. I found it. My grandfather's original 1923 permit. The bridge wasn't just a crossing. It was the main utility corridor for the entire neighborhood. Every water line, power cable, and fiber optic wire for 47 homes ran directly under those stones. Marjorie had promised her investors guaranteed access to those utilities, but she hadn't accounted for the fact that if my bridge went down, the whole neighborhood would lose power and water. She wasn't just a bully. She was committing securities fraud by selling property she didn't actually have the infrastructure to support. I set the sensors. We knew to the day, to the hour, when the structural fatigue would reach the breaking point. I had my attorney ready, I had the Historical Society on speed dial, and I had a camera crew standing by. The morning it happened, I was on my porch with a thermos of coffee, just watching. Here comes Derek. There's Marjorie's SUV right behind him. The truck rolls out, the bridge hits that final, fatal stress point, and crunch. The aftermath was like a movie scene. The power goes out across the whole neighborhood. The water mains snap. Sirens everywhere. Derek is literally stuck in the mud, staring at a mountain of broken stone. Marjorie's face goes from smug to pure, white-knuckled terror as she realizes she's just cost her investors millions. Within an hour, the county commissioner is there. Within a day, the HOA is in receivership. Within a week, the lawsuits are flying, and they aren't directed at me. The insurance company wouldn't pay out for intentional negligence, so Marjorie was personally on the hook for $400,000 in utility repairs. Her BMW was repossessed, her condo project was dead in the water, and Derek? He's looking at significant time for fraud. The best part? The neighborhood didn't just survive, they thrived. Agnes became the new HOA president. They used a portion of the settlement and some very motivated donations to rebuild my grandfather's bridge exactly as it was, but with modern, reinforced engineering hidden beneath the original stone. It's stronger than ever. My furniture business is busier than it's ever been, and every time I walk out there, I can still feel that sense of history. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where's the line between progress and just plain theft? At what point do you stop being a neighbor and start being a combatant? Have you ever had to stand your ground against someone who thought they could just steamroll your life because they had a bigger checkbook? I want to hear your stories, the times you stood up, the times you caught someone in their own lie, the times the little guy actually won. Drop your wildest neighbor drama in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one of them.